Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. We are also going to be covering our typical On the Horizon segment and talking about a few trailers in our On Beat segment. Let's kick things off, though, with our On the Horizon segment. On the Horizon. On the Horizon is where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so. Last week we covered the next 2 weeks because we were off for Thanksgiving. We hope all of you enjoyed your Thanksgivings if you celebrate that. But now we're only going to be covering the next week because we will be back next week. So we're going to start things off with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is finally coming out. I know people have been waiting for this for years. On Monday, December 9th for PC, Xbox Series X, and PS5. But the PS5 version's not coming till next year, I believe.
Yes, exactly. Like something like April next year for the PS5 version.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have Secret Level. This is the episodic anthology series from the creators of Love, Death, and Robots. This is the one where it's all based on kind of video game adaptations. Or video games, these are video game adaptations, these shorts. Covering things like Pac-Man and Mega Man and Concord, the most successful video game ever. But that anthology series will be dropping on Amazon Prime on Tuesday, December 10th. Next up, Dream Productions. This is a limited series set in the Inside Out universe from Pixar. It's coming on Wednesday, December 11th to Disney+. I believe, is this Pixar's first series?
I believe so.
I think they have another one in the pipe, but I think this is their first one. I think they might have done they've done some shorts, I think. They've done TV stuff with like Toy Story and stuff, but like not like an actual series.
I mean, I'm not knowledgeable enough to know for sure, but possibly.
But anyways, they're following up Inside Out 2, which was like a huge, massive hit. And
wasn't there like a Cars series at some point? Did I imagine that?
I don't think they had anything to do with that, if there was.
Oh, no, they definitely didn't. Yeah, they definitely weren't like directly involved in that.
This definitely is Pixar that's doing this series. Next up, we have Kraven the Hunter, which is finally coming to theaters on Thursday, December 12th. You excited for Kraven the Hunter? They released the first like 8 minutes or something, I think.
No.
I didn't watch it because I just do not care.
I do not care.
I don't care about any of the Sony. I watched the first 2 Venom movies and those were bad enough. I didn't bother with any of the other ones.
I'm just kind of like tired of this whole like Sony. Let's take Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery and turn them all into
MCU the Rogues Gallery, yeah.
Yeah, let's MCU the Rogues. Let's turn them all into anti-heroes so like we can have like our own cinematic universe. Like, no thanks.
Yeah, not a really stellar lineup either. I mean, they've had 4 movies so far. No, 5, because there's been 3 Venom movies. I've seen the first 2 Venom movies. I did not see the 3rd Venom movie. I did not see Madam Web, and I did not see Morbius, the laughing stock of the entire filmmaking industry.
Yeah. Can't say you missed anything.
I don't think I did. I think the only good thing about the Venom movies is Tom Hardy. That's pretty much it. It's like you get to watch Tom Hardy doing like some cool stuff. The movie itself isn't great. Like nothing strings together well. The plot's kind of garbage, you know? It's like none of it really works. It's just like, oh yeah, Tom Hardy's always fun to watch. That's kind of what you get out of Venom.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no interest in Kraven the Hunter. I'm actually kind of sad that Aaron Taylor Johnson kind of like attached himself to this, and this is probably going to have a negative effect on his career.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame.
Yeah, he deserves a break. He just picked the wrong thing.
I mean, he tried getting into the MCU and they did him dirty by killing off his character like immediately. So
yeah,
poor dude can't catch any breaks.
Yeah, he's great in Bullet Train. Have you seen Bullet Train?
I have not.
You should check that out. It's a really fun movie. Just a really fun action movie. I think it might be on Max. I'm not sure, but check out Bullet Train. He's got a really funny role in that.
Nice. I'll check it out.
Next up, we have Carry On. I've been looking forward to this. We talked about the trailers
for
this.
Oh, yeah, the Taron Egerton thriller.
Yeah.
It's like got like Die Hard vibes.
Yeah, Taron Egerton and Jason Bateman.
Yes, yeah, that does look good. I mean, we were talking about this on the last podcast we did.
Yeah, because the new trailer came out, the one that showed Jason Bateman is like the villain.
Yes, and it does look really good. Like, I am looking forward to this one.
That's coming on Friday, December 13th to Netflix. Dexter, Original Sin. We've all been waiting for this. I can't wait.
I saw the trailer they dropped, and it was interesting to me. Like, they're using a framing device for it, like it's the prequel, but apparently the framing device is they're using the end of like the last Dexter series, the ending where Dexter's grievously injured, presumed dead, but like spoilers, he's not dead. He's being rushed to the hospital, and like the whole series is Dexter seeing his life flash before his eyes, you know, and it's got like Michael C. Hall is like narrating it, which I think is a good choice, you know, to have Michael C. Hall narrating it. But
yeah, unfortunately, Dexter's kind of better off left alone.
Yeah.
It was better off left alone after the 4th season, I think.
Yeah, it went downhill after 4th season. I didn't watch New Blood, but like, I heard it was the whole stuff like they were doing with like Dexter's son and stuff was not good.
I've heard nothing but bad things about that. And then after Original Sin, I think they're doing another Dexter series with
They
Michael C.
are.
Hall.
Yes.
So yeah, it's you just gotta let it go. You guys ruined it already, and you can just keep going back to like, can we ruin it more?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, this is like, remember when Heroes had that like sequel series, and it's like, Heroes is like Dexter, a series that started good and then went downhill fast, you know?
It's going to be called Dexter Resurrection.
Yeah.
Because, spoilers, Dexter doesn't actually die at the end of New Blood.
Yeah, they should just start using the book titles, like Darkly Dreaming Dexter and stuff.
Yeah, they should start doing that, yeah. Yeah,
but,
really, yeah.
Yeah, Dexter, I loved Dexter, and then it just turned to shit. And then they kept it going, they kept trying to push it along, and they just completely, like, desecrated its corpse. And then they just won't let it die. Like, they're like, you know, we haven't desecrated it enough, we need to dig up the body and rape it some more in front of you.
Well, we need 2 more Dexter shows now.
Yeah.
Like,
it's gonna be 4 Dexter
I guess
shows.
it's because, like, it's been a consistent hit for Showtime, and Showtime doesn't have, like, a lot of hits, so, like, they're, like, desperately clinging to this one.
Yeah, I mean, just make a good show. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing they've been doing is really all that interesting. Showtime's went way downhill really quickly. I think Dexter was like an anomaly. That was like one show with an interesting premise that Showtime had. After that, they just went too far up their own asses. And they're like, we don't really need premise.
I know, like, Homeland was well received.
Homeland was okay, but that went downhill too.
Yeah.
That kind of had the 24 effect, where like 24 started really good. Like the first maybe like 3 or 4 seasons of 24 are really good. And then it goes like way downhill after that. Homeland kind of did the same thing, where it just started becoming more and more of a soap opera as it went on, unfortunately. The one show I think that Showtime is doing right now, and I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure that they're doing it right, but I want to see it, is Yellow Jackets.
Huh.
I've been hearing a lot of good things about Yellow Jackets. And that's got, what's her name from Fallout in it? Ellie Purnell.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
But moving on from Dexter Original Sin, Joe Bob's Christmas Carnage special is going to air on Shudder and AMC Plus on Friday, December 13th.
Yeah, we all love Joe Bob Briggs here at the podcast. Or at least we should. I actually never asked your opinion.
I really have almost no experience with it.
You never seen like Joe Bob Briggs? I was more of a
USA Up All Night guy, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, like I watched USA Up All Night too, but I watched Joe Bob on TNT, Monster Vision.
Some of those shows in that kind of, like, I'll say genre, not meaning horror, but the genre of stuff like USA Up All Night or Joe Bob or Mystery Science Theater 3000, I'll call that like a genre. Yeah. I have some blind spots in that genre. I think the only one I was really into was like Up All Night.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
The other ones I kind of have a blind spot. It's not that I didn't like it, I just never really got into it. I think Joe Bob was on a channel I didn't have when it was first on.
Oh, okay.
And then it became one of those things where it was like, it was kind of almost at its end by the time like I could have watched it.
It's funny because like, I'm pretty positive it was like TNT Monster Vision, and it was like at the time growing up in high school, I was living in a small town in New Hampshire, and we had like really crappy cable, so we didn't get like any of like Comedy Central, Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I didn't have Comedy Central until like the year 2000.
Yeah, Comedy Central, Cartoon Network, Sci-Fi Channel did not have that. I actually could not watch Mystery Science Theater at home. If I want to watch Mystery Science Theater, my dad had a job working with disabled people in a home when they had cable there, and I would visit my dad like at work sometimes. I could watch it there, or I could watch it at my grandmother's house because they had in Massachusetts because they had cable with Comedy Central and Sci-Fi and all that, but I could not watch it at home.
Yeah, we had like a situation where half of our town had a monopoly with, I think it was like Comcast, and the other half of the town had a monopoly with Time Warner. And I think we were on the Comcast, like they're the same company now, they're both Spectrum, but like,
yeah,
at the time, it was like Comcast. So like, we were on Comcast and they were just missing a ton of channels. Like Comedy Central was missing. I think like a lot of the stuff was they didn't have it. And then we moved in 2000 to the other side of town and they had Time Warner there. And all of a sudden we had Comedy Central and Cartoon Network and all these things that we did not have. So those were all like the Turner channels, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And so
yes,
if Joe Bob Briggs was
channel.
on CBS, then that would have been one of the Turner channels.
That's true. That was a Turner channel. Although we must have had it because I remember watching it at home, just like with USA. Like, it was like those premium channels, I guess, at the time. Because, like, it's at the time, like, Cartoon Network and Sci-Fi and all that, those were still pretty new. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, our cable, like, was run by the town, apparently. And so I guess that they were too cheap to, like, carry, like, those newer channels.
Yeah. I mean, I used to watch, like, South Park through piracy and shit. You know, that was the only way I could watch it.
Right, yeah. Like, I would watch anything like Comedy Central, Sci-Fi. Like I said, I mostly watched at my grandparents' house. It's weird because, like, all that stuff is, like, my favorite cable programming of the 90s, too. If I was, like, say, like, oh, my favorite shows, like, all the Cartoon Network stuff and, like, a bunch of Sci-Fi stuff and Comedy Central, like, was my favorite stuff. And I couldn't watch any of it at home. It's crazy.
Yeah. I remember being so annoyed by, like, I was a big anime fan and anime started exploding on, like, Cartoon Network with, like, Toonami and Adult Swim and stuff, and we just didn't have it.
Yeah, thankfully, by the time Toonami came around, by the time 98 came out, I moved to Tulsa, and we actually got decent cable with all the channels. So, like, once I moved to Tulsa, that was no longer an issue. Mm-hmm. But until then, like, it was like, yeah, I can't watch any of those channels at home.
Yeah, so that's kind of, Joe Bob's is kind of a blind spot for me.
Yeah,
it's not that I don't like it, it's just something that, you know, I didn't watch. I just didn't get an opportunity or didn't stumble upon it or whatever, you know?
Yeah, he's a real fun, like, horror host. So, like, the fact that he has, like, his own show on Shudder now, like, is really cool. I mean, I'd recommend it.
Yeah, that's gonna be his Christmas special, though. It's gonna be on Friday, December 13th. And then also on Friday, December 13th, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim is coming to theaters. So this is the anime Lord of the Rings movie.
Yes.
But that is it for our On the Horizon segment. And now we're moving on to On Beat. On Beat is our new segment, and we just got trailers this week. We're going to start things off with Juror number 2, which, as you mentioned before we started the podcast, might be Clint Eastwood's last movie. And it stars Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult is great. It looks good. It looks like a really solid film with, like, a really interesting dramatic premise. Like, it could be good.
It's like a guy who may or may not have accidentally killed somebody.
Right, and then he's put on jury duty over the case because he may or may not have ran over this woman, and the prosecutors are accusing the woman's boyfriend of murdering her.
Yeah, and he's realizing that it's not that he's like this bad person that got away with it. It's like he looked. He knew he thought he hit something, and he looked and couldn't find a body or anything. And it's been something that's been kind of haunting him, but then his life took like a positive turn, and good things started happening for him. And now he's like moved on and has been living his life, and all of a sudden now he's realizing he might have actually killed somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about the internal, like, the guilt he feels and, like, the realization.
Mm-hmm. And what he's going to do about it. If he's going to, like, torpedo his own life to do the right thing.
Right. Or if he's going to let this guy take the fall and continue with his, good life.
Mm-hmm. That's Juror number 2. Good trailer. Check it out. We also got a trailer for Inheritance. If you look this up, you're going to find, like, 17 different movies with the same name.
Yes. It's horrible.
This is the movie that's coming in 2025. That's the way to look it up. Rhys Ifrin is in it from House of the Dragon. He's the one person I recognize for sure.
Yeah.
It's not the one with Simon Pegg.
It looks interesting. It looks interesting because it's a spy drama, but it's about like this woman who's like recruited into the business by her father, and she seems to be an amateur. She hasn't done this before, and she's recruited into it by her father. They take her to Bangladesh for like a mission. It's probably supposed to be like a really simple job since she's not experienced.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle of the job, her father goes missing, and then she's kind of left to fend for herself, and she ends up in this situation over her head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really interesting premise, you know.
Yeah, like it looks good. My only issue is that there are so many espionage like series and movies coming out now.
Right.
There's one that just came out, I think, on Showtime with Michael Fassbender called like The Company that just started up, you know? And then there's like another one I think that I just saw something for recently, and there's just like so many. Like espionage is a pretty crowded genre right now.
Oh, it is. And I think like the difference here is like most of the espionage, they focus like on established spies, like people who are like really skilled and like are like the best of the best. In contrast here, at least from this trailer, it seems like the focus is on a complete amateur.
A woman who's in over her head in a bad situation.
In a bad
espionage is happening kind of around her instead of like through her, you know?
Instead of through her, yeah. She is not like a talented, like multi-talented spy who can just use her knowledge of the game to get through. Like she's kind of got.
She's not Jane Bowser.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, exactly. So she's kind of got to like navigate this as an amateur and use like her own like natural like wits and stuff to like get through this. So I think it's an interesting setup for a spy film.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how like almost all the major spy figures have the initials JB.
Right. Yeah.
James Bond, Jason Bourne, Jack Bauer.
Bourne. Yeah, Jack Bauer.
The pug from Kingsman.
Right.
Named his pug JB.
Joey Baloney, you know.
Joey Baloney, the spy.
Yeah, the spy.
Baloney.
Yeah.
Joey Baloney.
Yeah, exactly.
Joey Baloney sounds like the name of a cast member of Impractical Jokers who knows where the best pizza spots are in New Jersey.
That's exactly it. You nailed it.
Our next trailer is for Squid Game. So we've talked about Squid Game Season 2's trailer before. I'm not sure if we talked about more than one trailer, but we definitely talked about the last trailer where it kind of was giving an idea of kind of the tone of the show. Kind of how it's doing a little bit of a turn on the class system struggle that it did last time. Like we're kind of seeing the direction that it's still doing class struggle, but from a kind of a slightly different direction. This trailer kind of was more about content and in the story, and specifically we got to see some of the other games, like brief glimpses of some of the other games. So they're not just going to be repeating the same games over and over again. We know red light, green light's in it from the trailer.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's all new games. I mean, it has to be to keep it interesting. If you already know the game, it's not interesting. Red light, green light's only in there because it's become
like the introductory game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's become iconic to the franchise. That big like robot girl, like so that's going to be in there. Like that's going to be the same, but everything else following that is going to be different because that's how you keep it interesting. That's how you keep the suspense of like what's going to happen.
My prediction is that it's not going to make it all the way through the games.
Yeah.
Like the series isn't going to go through all the games. Like it isn't going to complete the games in the show.
Right.
This is like a turn. This is like a typical like survival game kind of show thing. If you're looking things like Battle Royale or the Hunger Games or something, when they've done like multiple entries, they do the thing where the game itself gets invaded or something happens that turns the tide and it turns into something else other than the games that you were expecting. And that's kind of where I think it's going to go. I think they're setting up like it's going to be like the same structure and everything again. And I think something's going to shift like halfway through or something and it's going to turn into something else. That's my prediction, just from having seen other survival type things like this. But anything in particular catch your interest from this trailer?
It looks like it's going to be a lot about upsetting the system, upsetting the order, you know, like with the main character from like the last series. So it looks good. Looks interesting. I'm in.
Yep. And then the last trailer we're going to be talking about is, I'm assuming this is your most anticipated movie of all time. And that is Disney's Snow White. You just won't shut up about how much you want to see this movie. So I'll let you take over. Tell us about why Disney's Snow White is your forever Oscar winner movie of all time.
No. Well, I mean, Disney keeps doing these live action remakes of their animated films, and they've all basically sucked ass every time. This is not going to be any different. I mean, visually, this looks spectacular, but I mean, that's kind of like also where the problems lie. It looks empty. It looks empty. It looks like it's this visual, lifeless extravaganza. The dwarves
AI rendered.
Looks AI rendered. The dwarves look AI rendered. It looks like it's really heavily pandering to nostalgia, just like designed to appeal to the widest audience possible instead of like being like artistically interesting, and you just wonder
filmed by committee.
Yeah, filmed by committee. And you just like wonder, why does this exist when you can watch the original animated version and have something that is a much better product.
I've heard that the Mulan live action movie was okay.
Right. Yeah,
and
I mean,
some people have said the Aladdin live action movie was okay, but except that it doesn't have Robin Williams, and that's like a huge
Will Smith
blow.
was stupid. I'm sorry.
But I've heard like the other aspects of the movie were supposed to be fairly okay.
Right.
But other than that, like when you talk about the best rated or best reviewed movies
I think the
in this
Jungle
entire
Book was
category
fun.
being the ones that are okay only, that kind of says something about how bad they've done, you know?
Right, yeah, exactly.
When your best entries are okay. It's kind of like how we talk about the Spider-Verse, or not Spider-Verse, the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery movies from Sony, you know, how we were saying that like the first two Venom movies are okay, the rest are just hot garbage, you know? And even saying the first two are okay, it's only because Tom Hardy's like fun to watch. I think it's kind of the same thing going on here. It's just like Disney trying to make something that's not working, and they're just sticking to their guns on it, and they're sticking to the same structure and everything. And if they want to keep doing this, they should be trying to experiment outwards. They should be trying to like push beyond their normal scope and try things that are more interesting, and they're not.
Yeah, this is just to capitalize on people's love for the animated film, like, and that's basically all it exists for. It's just, man, you could do like so much with that concept, and I mean, I don't know. It's Disney. We could expect it. It's really funny too, because like Disney did the live action Pinocchio remake, which was like really, predictably awful.
It was just Tom Hanks, right? Was in that?
I think so.
Tom Hanks played Geppetto in that.
Yeah, I think so. It was predictably, it was just like this Snow White. You know, it was like pandering to Disney nostalgia, and it was like big budget and crafted. But the funny thing is, like around the same time, Guillermo del Toro produced his own version of Pinocchio.
That's
the one
I saw. Yeah,
that was a much better film.
Yeah, that's the only one of the two I actually bothered watching. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's if you're gonna do these remakes of your old properties, like try to do something interesting. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you don't have to go super crazy, but if you're just kind of paint by numbering it and then just making like a few weird casting choices or something to like make yourself look better, then you're just not on a strong basis, you know? Like find an interesting inroad and then do that.
Yeah.
Like I haven't watched them either, but like at least you could say like Maleficent was kind of interesting in that it took like the, focused more on like the villain, you know? Or like they did the Cruella movie that I've heard good things about, but I haven't seen. And it's the same kind of thing where they focused on the villain and kind of said like, oh, let's tell a story about this villainous character and focus on that.
Although I really don't like what they did with Maleficent.
I haven't seen it. So.
Oh yeah, they did the whole. It was like this whole thing where like she's the misunderstood villain, and because of the patriarchy or whatever, and it was like it ended up being pretty dumb. But
there they did something different though. It's like that's
at least they did something different with it. Yeah.
You know what's the main takeaway I got from this Disney Snow White trailer?
What was your main takeaway?
That Gal Gadot is not a good actress.
Well, I mean that was obvious. I mean you watched Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I think she can work in a role like Wonder Woman because it's kind of a,
She was really bad in 84.
yeah, she was really bad in 84, but, like, that whole movie was really bad, but, like, initially as Wonder Woman, it kind of worked just because, I don't know, it was kind of sincere, I guess, in a way, or?
It did, I agree. It did work in the first movie. And then the second movie, you were kind of like, okay, yeah, no, she's really bad.
It's hard to judge how much of it's her and how much of it's because the whole movie was bad, you know? I mean,
yeah, that's true.
You have Pedro Pascal as one of the main stars of it, and you made a bad movie. It's like, that's like a feat.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. But yeah, she's terrible in this trailer too, so.
Yeah, like, you watch this and you're like, this just doesn't work. Like, she's not, I just think she's not a good actress, and in order to work, she has to, like, have the right role, you know?
Yeah,
It's like The Rock. The Rock's not a good actor, but he can be fun to watch in a movie if he's in the right role, you know?
It's very clear Gal Gadot is a model.
Yeah.
And she's not, like, who got into, like, acting. But she's not, like, super talented at acting at all.
Yeah. Again, like I said, it's like The Rock, you know? You want to look at a wrestler turned actor that's good, then you'd look at, like, you know, Batista. Or even John Cena has been doing a good job, you know?
John Cena's been killing it, yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, The Rock can be fun in a movie, but he has to be in the right role. And, like, you take him out of that situation where you put him where he's not in the right role, and it's very clear, well, he can't really act. He's just kind of playing himself, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He's not a good actor.
Yeah, and that's the same thing I think with Gal Gadot, is like, she's not really a good actress. She could work, but you have to, like, put her in the right kind of role, and you can't just, like, cast her in anything. I mean, there's a reason why, I mean, I haven't seen it, and you had some negative things to say about it, but, like, if you look at something like Maleficent, Angelina Jolie, like, screams off the screen, you know?
Oh yeah, but Angelina Jolie,
because that's Angelina Jolie, you know?
She's legitimately a great actress. You know, like, she's legitimately talented.
You can't just, like, cast another statuesque actress and expect it to work. You have to cast an actual actress, you know?
Right, yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, I'm with you. Disney Snow White, not looking good. That's it for our On Beat section. And now let's move on to our final segment, full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, we are discussing Deadpool and Wolverine, also known as Deadpool 3, also known as Wolverine 4, also known as X-Men...
Yeah, Wolverine 4.
X-Men Universe number 8? I don't know.
Well, yeah.
10? I don't know. How many X-Men Universe movies have there been?
There were 3
the original 3, then the 3 prequels, right?
Yeah, the 3 with the new... Yeah,
there were 4 with the new cast, right?
With the new cast, yeah.
Because there was Apocalypse and Phoenix, right?
Okay, so it's X-Men, X-Men 2, X-Men 3, X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Futures Past, X-Men Apocalypse, and X-Men Phoenix, or whatever.
7.
Plus, and if you want to count the New Mutants.
New Mutants makes 8. Wolverine movies makes 11. We did 3 Wolverine movies.
Yep, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
The Wolverine.
And Logan.
So that's 11.
And then Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. You gotta throw them in with the X-Men movies.
So that's 13. So this is the 14th movie in the X-Men universe.
In the X-Men franchise. In the Fox X-Men franchise, yeah.
The 4th Wolverine movie and the 3rd Deadpool movie. So it's kind of all of those things.
Yes.
And it's even more than that. Because you could say this is like the whole Fox Marvel universe. This is like a goodbye to that. And
this is like this is a send-off to Fox Marvel universe, even though
it takes place in the MCU, but it's mostly about that Fox universe send-off.
Even though, like, Blade is in it, and Blade was New Line Cinema and not Fox, but I mean, we're splitting hairs at that point.
I don't know. Blade's
it was just
foxy.
A cool, pretty foxy, right? Yeah.
He's gone salt and pepper.
Okay, Blade, not Fox, but I'll allow it.
But yeah, so this is like kind of, as we said, it's a send-off to the Fox universe, something that kind of becomes more and more apparent as the movie goes on. Like, it doesn't really start off that way. Like, it starts off like it's going more into like how do we mix the Deadpool into the MCU and stuff. That's kind of more what it starts as, and then as it goes on, you start to become more and more aware that like, oh, this is like a goodbye to the Fox.
The marketing was a little misleading for this movie because like it really like leaned heavily into like the scene where the one guy at the TVA, Paradox, tells Deadpool that he's needed in the MCU, and Deadpool responds, I'm Marvel Jesus. The trailer like really
I'm going to Disneyland.
Yes. The trailer like really heavily leaned into that scene. So like they like made it seem like it was about like Deadpool like finally joining the MCU. That doesn't happen in this movie at all.
Yeah.
There is a scene where he is in the MCU, but it's a small scene with Jon Favreau, and it's him like applying to join the Avengers and like getting rejected.
Well, I mean, the framing device of the movie is like the TVA, and they're like, that's part of the MCU.
Well, the TVA is MCU, but there's only one scene where Deadpool's legitimately in the MCU, and then that's it. He's not in the MCU for like any other moment of the entire runtime of this movie. So this is not about Deadpool joining the MCU. That's not what this movie is about.
Yeah. Or like maybe a better way to put it would be he's not in MCU Earth except for that one scene.
Except, I mean, this is a Marvel movie, but like, he's in a place called the Void, which is apparently like where the Fox Marvel universe like exists now.
Yeah.
It's funny because Loki. It's from Loki. Yeah, it's from Loki. A lot of like the stuff surrounding this is taken directly from Loki, to the point where like the one like the creature from Loki, the Devourer, Elias, like he comes in pretty early, and like Deadpool says from Loki season 1 episode 5 or something like.
Yeah, they mention Elias. They saw Elias here from Loki season 1 episode 8.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. The plot of the film is very simple. Paradox wants to destroy Deadpool's universe.
The Fox universe, essentially.
The Fox universe, essentially because it lost its anchor being, which was Wolverine, and it's going to die. But Paradox doesn't like the TVA's new policy where they don't just prune timelines anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They let things work out naturally, and Paradox isn't like down with that. He wants to rev up this machine that's going to destroy the universe.
I think they call it Time Ripper or something.
Yeah, Time Ripper, yeah. So basically, Deadpool has to find a replacement Wolverine to bring to his universe to save it.
And he finds the worst Wolverine.
And he finds the Wolverine that failed.
Mm-hmm.
The Wolverine that hates himself. Played so brilliantly by Hugh Jackman, and Hugh Jackman was right because in press interviews, Hugh Jackman said one of the big reasons he agreed to do this movie was because it let him explore a new side to Logan, new dimensions to Logan.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, like, having played the character for so long, like, this was one of the most satisfying turns for Hugh Jackman, just because, like, they let him explore so much, like, depth and dimension to the character.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, like, a version of Wolverine who's at his, like, absolute lowest point.
Yeah, like, Wolverine's always kind of had a bit of a self-loathing streak.
Yes.
Through him, but they basically said, okay, well, what if, the movies, everything that kind of focuses on Wolverine in any of the movies is about, like, him finding kind of hope and reason. And that happens here, too, by the end, But, like, the Wolverine that we're on, it's as if he's already come to the end of that road, but it didn't go that way. Like, it went the opposite way, and now it's like he's being pulled back.
Yes. Very forcefully by a very, very annoying, loudmouth person. Which is where, like, a lot of the comedy comes in, and, like, a lot of the interplay between Deadpool and Wolverine, because it's a buddy road trip movie, but at the same time, they're constantly at each other's throats. Mm-hmm. They're, like, the entire movie. There's no point where they're, like, at a complete truce. They're always one wrong word off from, like, being at each other's throats again.
Yeah, and it's fun when they do, because they get in fights on several occasions in the movie.
Oh, they get into, like, very brutal fights. They take full advantage of the fact that they both have healing factors.
Oh,
they have, like, these very brutal, gory fights between the two.
Yeah, a lot of, like, stabbing in the sides and shooting in the sides and in the groin and then, like, just,
they don't hold back. This is an R-rated movie, by the way. And this is a very R-rated movie. You get to see Wolverine be Wolverine, and that means you get to see Wolverine, like, killing people.
Yeah, you get to see Wolverine decapitate Sabretooth.
Yes.
Your Queen, Furiosa?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the whole thing was like a Mad Max rip.
Yeah.
But yeah, plot-wise, like, you know, he finds Wolverine, and then they end up thanks to Paradox, they end up in the Void from Loki, which is the place beyond time. And they find out Paradox has sent, like, a bunch of people to the Void, mostly people from the Fox Marvel universe already, and also, like, a character we haven't seen yet in any other film, but Cassandra Nova, who's Professor Xavier's twin sister.
Yeah, so a major character in some of the comic runs, a major villain character, yeah.
She's a very powerful telepath, extremely powerful. She rules her little corner of the Void. Everybody there is like either serving her or in fear of her.
Yeah, it gives you kind of an idea of what a world could be like if Charles Xavier was just a straight villain.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Because she is a total psychopath.
Yeah, I love the finger effects.
Yeah, the finger effects.
Did,
yeah, the idea that like
very unsettling.
like Charles can just like remotely like tap into people's minds, but she has to like actually touch them to manipulate them.
And she just puts her fingers into them, like into their head, and in like this very invasive way. It's very like creepy.
She has to like touch their minds, like literally.
So they had these great effects of like where she's dragging somebody by the head with her fingers through his like eyes and stuff. Not in a like punched his eyes out way, but like as in a like phased through his eyes sort of way. It's very unsettling.
Oh yeah, very unsettling.
But it's done purposely creepy in a way that makes it like funny.
And you know, like so along the way they have to defeat Cassandra Nova and Paradox and stop the Time Ripper and save Deadpool's universe, and that's the basic plot of the film. So with that out of the way, we can talk about like our favorite bits now and like all the stuff. The cameos were just fantastic. One of my favorite bits was
I'm sad that you didn't get to see it in theaters because there was some. Yeah. I haven't seen pop-offs like that, like in this movie since like Endgame. Those are the only two times in my memory where I can remember like the audience just freaking out and like erupting into cheers and stuff in the theater, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. I can imagine. Lots of cool stuff. I would say right off the bat, you know, when Deadpool is searching for a replacement Wolverine, just like the Wolverine cameos.
I have a list of them here.
Okay.
You want me to just go through and then we'll talk about them?
Yeah, go through them.
We talked about the worst Wolverine. He's the kind of the main Wolverine.
He's the main Wolverine we follow, yeah.
We got brown and yellow.
Yeah.
That's the classic suit.
That's the classic first appearance Wolverine.
They also gave us a brief appearance of the Hulk.
Yeah, that was the first appearance Wolverine where
That was Wolverine a Todd McFarlane cover, wasn't it? That they were that they did with the Blade reflections.
Yes, that was a classic Todd McFarlane cover. That was not from the original run. That was from a 90s comic where Wolverine fought Hulk again. But
there were a lot of like comic cover references with these Wolverine appearances.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, Wolverine is tied to the Hulk because his first appearance was literally fighting the Hulk in a comic, you know, like that was his first appearance. And Hugh Jackman did say in interviews like he wants to fight the Hulk as Wolverine.
It'd be fun to see Hugh Jackman and Mark Ruffalo work together. I don't know if they've worked together before or anything else.
I don't think they have. No.
I think it would be fun just to see the two of them work together, period, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be a joy. It needs to happen.
We got comic accurate Wolverine?
Yeah, so the small Wolverine, yeah. That was hilarious.
A lot of people are using this as a reason for why like comic accurate Wolverine can't work. I still kind of hope they do a shorter Wolverine.
You know what? The comic accurate Wolverine was a gag because like people like constantly say like Hugh Jackman was like too tall to play Wolverine. Like Wolverine's shorter than Hugh Jackman is, you know, like
I'm like, kind of down for that. I like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, but I'm kind of down for that like in the sense of if they're going to do a new Wolverine with the MCU.
So comic accurate Wolverine and Deadpool, they were memeing on that group. Yeah.
But I kind of feel like if they're going to do a new Wolverine for the MCU, I kind of want them to do like a short king Wolverine, you know?
Yeah, like a short king. Yeah, exactly.
I say that as a tall guy who's just an ally. I'm a short guy ally.
Thank you. I appreciate your allyship. as a short guy, as a tragically short guy, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could do a short, like they made Short King Wolverine look kind of ridiculous, but I think it could still work. It's just getting the right actor, you know?
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. They could get me, I'm short. Like people will be happy with that.
There were a lot of people that are like, just because of like a few pictures that want, Harry Potter. They want Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh yeah.
I think he's like 5'3" or 5'4", something like that. So he's pretty short.
Right.
But he's also recent, like there was a recent picture of him where he's just kind of stacked. Like he's kind of muscular and people are like, oh, he's hairy, he's stacked, and he's short. Wolverine!
Yeah, Wolverine. He'd go ham with that too, so like.
Yeah. There was
he would.
There was an early rumor of Taron Egerton, who's in that, we talked about a trailer that he's in. He's also a shorter guy that could be like a good Wolverine too, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we had that.
Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because they did, Logan was kind of loose, very, very loosely based on like Old Man Logan.
Yeah, that was the inspiration for Logan, yeah.
But then they kind of did this as like more close to the actual comic books of Old Man Logan because it's just a brief appearance. It's not like a whole sequence or anything.
Right, yeah, exactly.
We got Patch.
Yep, Patch.
The gambling Wolverine. He might be I think he might be the coolest looking Wolverine.
He is really cool.
He just has like zero fucks given look to him, you know? Weapon Omega.
Yep.
One-handed, very vicious, very like 80s metal band. It looks almost like Danzig or something.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's his name in Age of Apocalypse. Okay, Weapon Omega. Like, yeah, I saw that. I was like, Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah, again, doing like the comic cover references and stuff.
Which Age of Apocalypse is an alternate universe in which Apocalypse took over the Earth. And so, like, the X-Men are, like, different as a result in that universe.
We have Crucified Logan.
Yes.
So that's the one that you see on the X-Cross that caused a bunch of Christian groups to get up in a tizzy and say that it was mocking Christianity.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh my pearls. Oh, no.
He's kind of not in the movie except on like a TV monitor and in a different form, but you have Logan, the anchor beam, as well as in there, you know, like you only see his kind of corpse and on the TV screen.
Yeah.
Where they recapping moments from Logan, you know, that's it for him. And then you have the first like huge pop in the movie theater.
I bet.
Was the Cavalrine.
Yeah, the Cavalrine, yeah.
And he even did his like Mission Impossible like arm bump thing.
It's so funny because like Deadpool's like I know that other company did you dirty.
It's all, we'll treat you so much better than those shits down the street or something like that.
Yeah, we'll treat you so much better than those shits down the street. Yeah, the Cavalrine. I popped off. I was like, oh my god. They got Henry Cavill to do a cameo in this movie.
Now there's more rumors going around that Cavill's going to be playing Captain Britain.
I think that's who Cavill expressed interest in portraying. If he was going to do an MCU film, like he wants to be Captain Britain.
That'd be interesting. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, like, so those are like the Wolverine variants we got. That was pretty crazy. We also got a bunch of Deadpool variants.
Oh yeah. Yeah, towards the end. Oh
all
my god. All
together, not like in a montage.
No, all together at the end. Well, we get nice cool sooner, but like after that, then we get like all the Deadpool variants at the end, including Headpool. Unfortunately, no Gwenpool in this movie.
Yeah.
They
didn't have those rights, I don't think, for it. But they got Ladypool.
Yes.
Who was voiced by Blake Lively. Blake Lively was not the,
oh, she was not in costume. Okay.
Somebody else in suit, but she did the voice. They had Cowboy Pool, similar situation. Matthew McConaughey did the voice, but it wasn't him in costume.
Oh, okay.
Headpool, you mentioned, is Nathan Fillion. Kidpool was Inez Reynolds. That's Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's daughter.
Oh, nice.
One of their kids. Baby Pool was their other kid, Olin Reynolds.
Yep.
Welsh Pool, which
Dog Pool.
There's some ones I don't know, like Welsh Pool, Canada Pool.
I don't know like every Deadpool variant. I'm not even going to. I don't think.
I just have the list. So it's
there's like so many. I don't think it's like really worth Welsh going into
Pool,
all of them.
Canada Pool, Samurai Pool, Herald Pool.
Yeah, we'll be here all day.
All those were there, and then Dog Pool was the other kind of big one, which was they just cast like the ugliest dog in the world.
Yeah. Oh, Dog Pool is so great. Like I love like how like immediately like he falls in love with Dog Pool, and then Nice Pool shows up, and Deadpool is just like, yeah, he hates Nice Pool from the beginning. The gag at the end, like when Dog Pool shows back up before like all the Deadpools come, and then Nice Pool shows up again, and Deadpool's just like, you know, like, and then all the Deadpool variants show up, and then like Deadpool like very purposefully like uses Nice Pool as a human shield and gets him killed while saying like, I'll take you to safety. Just come over here. She's just like standing there holding him in front of like the bullet fire.
Say you're gonna live. I'm gonna live.
Yeah, well, yeah. I've seen earlier, like, for Deadpool, like, does this thing with the fourth wall, and then Deadpool's like, I could gently brush up against the fourth wall too. And he looks at Screen and goes, the proposal. And Deadpool's like, motherfucker, you think that's what I do?
Yeah, it was very funny. Nice Pool's hilarious. He's got the man bun, which is funny.
He's got the man bun, which is, so great. So many fun cameos. When they're in the Void, when they first get to the Void, one of the best cameos is Chris Evans, especially because, like, Deadpool, like, misunderstands who it is. Like, if you see Chris Evans and thinks it's Captain America.
Oh, yeah, that was another one of the ones, like, in the theater watching that. When he showed up, you could hear murmuring, like, it's Cap, when you could hear his voice and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh my god, it's Cap.
But everybody who knows.
Flame on!
Everybody who knew who it actually was. Like, everybody who knows. So it was just so funny because he's like, say it! And then like, Deadpool shouts out, Avengers Assemble! And then Chris Evans says, flame on! And Deadpool's like, what?
Yeah. You got to see a bunch of the villains.
The whole thing. He gets Human Torch killed because, like, Deadpool's Cassandra Nova. He was, like, talking all this shit and lists off, like, all this specific stuff. And Human Torch is like, oh, hey, I didn't say any of that. And then at the end, when Deadpool has the tape of Human Torch, like, actually saying all that stuff.
That's almost like a meta joke in the sense that Chris Evans is, like, from, I think, Boston.
Yeah.
And he's kind of, like, known as an actor for having a bit of a potty mouth.
Oh.
And so they're playing into that, like, he even was kind of putting on a bit of a Boston accent when he was doing that.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah.
There's kind of like a little bit of a meta joke in there about that too. And I guess that's the main reason Chris Evans agreed to do this.
Oh, really?
Was so that scene.
Just for that scene, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they had a bunch of rogues from the X-Men universe and stuff.
Yeah, from the original X-Men.
A lot of them not the same actors, unfortunately.
No, but they did get Tyler Mane back for Sabretooth, which was, I think, like, it was the first time Tyler Mane has been Sabretooth since the original X-Men trilogy, because it was Liev Schreiber in, like, X-Men Origins, you know, so it wasn't even Tyler Mane in that movie.
They had Juggernaut, and it's not the Juggernaut from Deadpool 2.
No, it was the Juggernaut from X3, so it was like a...
But a different actor in this case.
Was it? It looked like the same actor.
No, it was a different actor.
Okay.
In X3, Juggernaut was, Vinnie Jones.
Yeah, it was Vinnie Jones, yeah.
And it was not Vinnie Jones. It was,
okay.
Yeah, a lot of them are different. Blob.
They got like a pretty,
Blob was, in X-Men Origins, Blob was played by, Kimi from Lost. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, but he wasn't, like, played by Kimi in, like, the other X-Men movies.
Yeah, but it was none of them. It was a different guy playing Blob. And then, Azaziel was a different actor. I saw that. He looks exactly the same, but they said it was like a stunt actor playing him. Oh,
okay. Yeah,
and Psylocke was, what's her name? In the movies, it was, Olivia Munn.
Oh.
And she was not in this, they had Psylocke, but it wasn't Olivia
Munn. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was Olivia Munn. She probably didn't want to come back. She probably wouldn't come back for, like, a small cameo like that. Anyway, she was barely even in the movie she was in. It was like, that was such a disappointment, because, like, when they announced it, it's like, oh man, Olivia Munn is such good casting for Psylocke, and then she's, like, in 5 minutes of X-Men Apocalypse. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the two big returning villains they had were Sabretooth and Pyro.
Yes. And also, I think it's probably, like, hard to get all the original actors back for those parts. Those parts aren't even big parts. Like, Tyler Mane.
I think they were filming in, like, Eastern Europe, too. So it was like, they'd basically have to take a flight back for about 2 seconds of screen time.
Tyler Mane's Sabretooth has, like, the biggest role in that entire scene. You know, because it's, like...
Well, him and like I said, Pyro, too.
Pyro, have, like, the biggest parts. So, like, it makes more sense to get them back for it than, like, to try and get, like, all the other actors back.
Yeah, it's like I said, I mean, you'd have to, like, fly them all out to, I think they filmed it in, like, Eastern Europe. They'd have to fly them all out to Eastern Europe to, like, film 2 seconds of screen time.
Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't make that much sense.
It's forgivable. They got some of the big ones they did get back, you know, so that makes it up. But it's interesting that they specifically did the X3 Juggernaut, like that costume, rather than, like, the more comic accurate Juggernaut from, like, Deadpool 2.
Yeah. Oh,
They specifically wanted to play up the angle that it was these misfit versions.
Well, I mean, they were all very specifically the versions of the characters from the original 3 X-Men movies. Mm-hmm. Not from, like, Wolverine. Like, it was Tyler Mane Sabretooth. It wasn't Liev Schreiber Sabretooth.
Yeah. You know? I think even more so, though, it was like, basically going, these are the ones that everyone thought were kind of goofy, you know, for some of them, you know?
Well, like, there was, again, like, a lot of digs at, like...
that Juggernaut wasn't that great in X3, you know?
There's, like, a lot of digs at the original X-Men trilogy in there, because there was, like, also digs about, like, you know, the X-Men, like, wearing leather. especially like reference to like Wolverine in this movie.
Yeah, like
having
it only
his
took
classic
24
costume.
years or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course you get to like the big cameos, which are like the Resistance in the Void to Cassandra Nova. And it's
Starts
it's
with Elektra, right? She's the first one we see, I
I
think.
I love Elektra's like entrance because she pops up and Deadpool's like, "Oh, it's Wonder," and she just cuts him off and says, "It's Elektra." And it's like, oh,
Well, I love that when they're talking about the people that have died and they mentioned Daredevil, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm so sorry." She's like, "It's okay."
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
it's
okay.
like Ben Affleck, and they were
Yeah.
going through the divorce and stuff.
Yeah, they're going through the divorce. So great. And then
There's
like,
a few good meta jokes like that. They did one at Hugh Jackman's expense too, where he said he really let himself go after the divorce, referencing Hugh Jackman's divorce. So they did a few of
there's
those that were pretty funny.
made jokes. There was obviously Gambit.
His whole character is a meta joke.
Yeah, his whole character's been a joke because they've been trying to get that movie made and it never happened.
Yeah, I love the part where they're talking about how they ended up in the void, and he's like, "I think I might have been born here."
They're all referencing stuff from their movies. And Gambit, Channing Tatum doesn't like have a movie to reference.
And the big surprise of all the main major cameos that show up, the big surprise was Blade.
Yes.
And that's because Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds famously did not like each other very much when they were filming Blade 3. That was like the rumor, the behind the scenes rumor that was
the
going
rumor.
around.
Wesley Snipes more recently said like that whole thing was bullshit. Like he never like had animosity towards Ryan Reynolds.
But like that's what Wesley Snipes says, Ryan Reynolds himself said that Wesley Snipes was kind of a diva on the set of Blade 3,
No, I don't doubt it. Wesley Snipes comes off as a diva. I'm sorry, but he does.
Yeah.
But he's entertaining. It's funny too because it's a weird choice because it's the only one that doesn't fit. Everybody else is from Fox movies, like X-Men related movies, or like the Fantastic Four, which was the other franchise Fox had the rights to. Blade is not from any Fox films, but Blade is simply here because of Wesley Snipes' relationship with Ryan Reynolds. The fact Ryan Reynolds was in Blade 3.
Yeah.
That's why Blade is here.
That's what made it like the big pop, because nobody thought that was going to happen.
Yeah,
just because of all the rumors and stuff about their relationship, like that, it just, not from a fiction level, but from like the actors involved. It was like, this'll never happen. And it did.
And it did. Yeah. Which was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Which was wild. And Wesley Snipes was fantastic in this. The one scene, like, where Blade pulls out a rocket launcher and Deadpool's like, "Where'd you get that?" And Elektra's like, "We got it from the Punisher." And Deadpool's like, "Which one? There's like 5 Punishers." And Blade just says, "Well, there will only ever be one of me." And Deadpool gives a nod to the audience.
Yeah, he just kind of looks straight at the camera. Yeah.
Yeah, and like raises his eyebrows, like in a knowing, like the expression through his mask. You could see it.
Yeah.
And then the other cameos are directly from the MCU. We mentioned Happy Hogan and the scene where Deadpool is applying to join the Avengers, and then Thor. Chris Hemsworth makes a cameo as Thor.
It's just recut footage.
Oh, okay, so that's not new footage. Okay, I thought it was recut.
That's just from Thor: The Dark World when Loki was dying. When he thought Loki was dying, I should say.
Okay, well, never mind then. But
yeah,
it's so funny because he's like,
why is Thor crying?
Why is Thor crying? Yeah,
that became like a running thing through the movie where he kept asking about Thor, and then like when he woke up the one time when after he was abducted by like Elektra and everybody, and he woke up and he just screamed Thor. He's like, Thor! We didn't mention X-23.
Yeah, X-23, Daphne Keene's in it. She has like a very touching scene with Wolverine, she kind of like reminds Wolverine, what his purpose is. It's like really cool there, like again, like this version of Wolverine's lost, but he comes around by the end of the movie. Yeah. This movie has a happy ending. Last thing I want to touch on before we wrap this up is I want to just touch on the people who aren't in the movie.
Mainly from Deadpool 2.
Mainly for Deadpool 2, yeah.
Cable.
Like Domino. Yeah, Cable, Domino.
The kid, what's the kid's name? The fire guy from Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I forgot what his name was.
Yeah, I think almost miss him the most. Cause you could kind of imagine a scenario in which like maybe Cable's like back in the future or something, if they went through all the time travel shit that Deadpool was able to fix that he's not there anymore, you could kind of make a guess that, like, Domino kind of just wandered off and did her own thing, you know? But,
Right.
like, the kid, you'd think he kind of was almost, like, pseudo-adopted by Deadpool at the end of Deadpool 2.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird that he's not there.
Yeah. You did see Shatterstar.
Yes.
He was kind of a surprise.
He was in there. Yeah, he was kind of surprised. Yeah, Colossus and Shatterstar were at, like, his party.
Yeah.
So,
along with Yukio and Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah. Always good to see them again.
And of course, Dopinder and Blindell.
Blindell and Vanessa and Peter. Which every Deadpool has a Peter.
And they all
by
love
the
him.
way.
The other big absence makes sense just because he got canceled and it was, he talked a bunch of shit about Ryan Reynolds, I think, after Deadpool 2.
Yes. Yeah, he was talking shit. Yeah, like, I already forgot the dude's name. But, like,
dude from Silicon Valley.
Yeah. He was in Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. And, like, I saw, like, he was, like, talking shit. Oh, they asked him to be in Deadpool 3, but he rejected it because, you know, like, he's so done with those movies. And Ryan Reynolds, like, those movies are just, like, stupid, and Ryan Reynolds, like, needs him more than them or whatever.
And then after the success of Deadpool 3, he was talking about his good friend Ryan Reynolds or something.
Yeah.
I think he's got some problems, man.
Yeah, he's definitely got problems, for sure.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because they did have good
Deadpool
chemistry in the first Deadpool movies.
They did, yeah. He was replaced by Peter.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of like, I had the same criticism for this movie that I had for, like, No Way Home. And that I like it, but it kind of almost feels like this is like a theme park attraction rather than like a coherent story and plot.
Right,
You know what I mean?
the plot was a secondary consideration.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing as, like, No Way Home. Where, like, No Way Home, I had the same feeling. Like, and I would describe it and people would go like, oh, but it was so good and stuff. And I'm like, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. I loved it. I thought the movie was an incredible time. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. I liked the movie. But it just feels, like, different. It feels like the first two Deadpool movies were movies. And this is like a theme park attraction.
So bad, very thin, barely there plot that only exists to, like, take us through, like, all these cameos and references. That the good, the cameo, the references, the humor, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman's chemistry.
And it did kind of have a heartfelt thing about the Fox universe.
And
what it meant to the people that made it and people that enjoyed it at the time.
It was very heartfelt. A good thing is, like, Hugh Jackman had some really good heartfelt scenes as Wolverine. You know, he really got to explore that character on a deeper level. We got to see, like, a deeper side of Wolverine. The movie knew when to stop and when to let, you know, its characters, like, have their moments, right?
Yeah.
You know, it really knew to, like, when to stop with the jokes and when to have those moments and then when to continue. The plot wasn't the focus or wasn't important. It was like just like having those moments and, like, having the comedy and the fan service that was prioritized.
Yeah, and some would look at that as, like, a down or something, but it's like, I think you have to look at the movie for what it is and not what it isn't.
Right, yeah.
If you just wanted, like, a continuation of the Deadpool story from the first two movies, then this isn't really that, you know?
No.
But it's still a great time in the theater. It's a great, enjoyable moment. It's a very enjoyable, hour and a half, 2 hours of your time, you know? And that's what it wanted to be. So it's not like it failed. It did something different. It chose a different direction, and it did that, and it did it very well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's the same way, like I said, I feel about No Way Home, where, like, there's a part of me that feels a little let down by No Way Home, being like having lost some of what really worked in the first two Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. But at the same time, it's like a really great movie in a different way, you know? So it's like I was able to enjoy it still as like a different kind of thing. And it's the same way I feel about this as I do about No Way Home, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to agree there.
Yeah. It's still, like, really enjoyable, though. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, but I've had a blast with, like, all three of the Deadpool movies so far.
Yeah.
I just think Ryan Reynolds has just been, like, just been killing it with these movies.
And I have to say, like, I mentioned it before, but I did get almost a little teary-eyed in the mid-credits scene, which was just like a Green Day song with a bunch of behind-the-scenes footage from Fox movies past, you know? And I did get almost a little teary-eyed on that just because you could tell how much this meant for a lot of the people. I mean, you know, you could see how it kind of made the careers of some, like Hugh Jackman, for real, you know?
Oh, for real, yeah. Hugh Jackman is eternally grateful.
Yeah.
He got the role for Wolverine, you know?
Yeah, and you could see, like, looking at the past footage and how, like, nervous and young he was and does the complete unknown and all that kind of stuff, like, it really, like, pulled that out. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is, like, there's a lot of earnestness in this movie.
Yes.
About that, you know, specifically about.
This was, like, very much designed as, like, a send-off for, like, the whole Fox
a love letter, universe. If you will.
Yeah, a love letter, if you will. You know, before we, like, actually dive headfirst into Deadpool being in the MCU.
Yeah, before we get, like, you know, the MCU X-Men, you know?
Right, yeah, exactly. And, in my opinion, it's a fitting one.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It serves a good purpose. It kind of leaves us in a weird space because Marvel's been kind of, and they made this exact joke in the movie that Marvel's on, like, kind of a down note right now.
Yes.
This is a fantastic Marvel movie, but it's not really directly linked into the MCU stuff, you know, that's going on.
No.
That stuff's coming up. Hopefully it turns out to be good, but we kind of had, like, a year off of, like, MCU, you know?
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see when it comes back next year, when everything because, like, comes back together, you know?
It's weird because, like, to say this was a Marvel Studios movie. This has, like, some stuff, you know, references to Marvel Studios, but it's not really an MCU movie.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say it's canon in, like, a multiverse sort of way, but it's not, like, linked to anything else that's happening in the MCU.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no, like, real connective tissue going on.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That's Deadpool Wolverine. So, that's it for our podcast this week. Next week, we are going to be talking about Beetlejuice, which is going to be streaming on Max. We're recording this on December 4th. Beetlejuice will be on Max on December 6th. So, if you want to watch that and watch that as we talk about it next week, be caught up with us and enjoy that conversation. That's what we're going to be discussing next week, is Beetlejuice. So check that out. Until then, you can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I am at Tyson Gifford. On both of those platforms, Will is at Voxel Hero. So you can check out both of us in either of those locations. You can check out our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed for our podcast. You can go to a podcast client and search for us by looking up the OnScreen podcast. You can go to our website, thetotalscreen.com. If you go to our website and open up a container story for any of our podcast episodes, scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find all of the links to all that stuff that we just mentioned. It's all there. You'll also find the link to our YouTube channel, which has the entire backlog of this podcast, all 167 episodes, including this one, as well as the 300 episodes we did of our past podcast, The Weekly Set. They're all on our YouTube channel. Basically, our YouTube channel is like all of our past content that's video or audio. It's all of it. So you can check all of that there. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Good night. Thank you for listening to the On-Screen Podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.